Hey guys, welcome back. It's been a minute. I am so excited. First of all, I'm Megan, also known as Self Care Sims, and I am so excited because we are going to, over the next few weeks, set up my rotational save file together. Now, on a more serious note, I did take a little bit of time to come back to you guys because I really had to come to terms with the fact that my Sims in the City save file was busted. But now it's giving me an opportunity to set up this rotational save file with you guys, which I am so excited about. So today we'll really be jumping into the things I do before I actually get into the save file. And then over the course of the next few weeks, we will set up our buildings and our lots, we'll make townies, and we'll kind of talk about how I try to create a really diverse and deep story within my Sims game. And I hope that you'll be able to take some of that and apply it to your own. So, before I go any further, I just wanted to briefly talk about what a rotational save file is and what it means to me. So, rotational save files, forever save files, even I saw Astrology Sims talk about tandem save files. I feel like they all really encompass the idea of being able to play with multiple Sims within your own save file. I first came across the concept, I think it was the PhD Simmer, and it was probably like 2 or 3 years ago now. And she introduced me to that idea, and I have never went back since. I love how when you are playing in this rotational style of gameplay, you're really able to create unique Sims that have more detailed personalities. And I just love how the whole world comes together. And as somebody who has ADHD and has a very hard time sticking with just one storyline because I'll have another idea, I'll have another story I want to play out. With rotational style gameplay, I can just add a new Sim or play a different Sim. And so I just feel like it helps me not feel like I have to start a new save file every time I have a new idea. And it really gives me the freedom and flexibility to be able to really make the game exactly how I want it to be. So, with all this being said, obviously, when you're playing rotationally, you are cycling between a lot of different Sims and potentially a lot of different lots. So there's quite a bit of legwork that goes into setting up this save file, at least for me, at least for somebody who doesn't just open up the game and play with the Sims that are there. So if you're wanting something that is easy to just pop in and go, I would fully recommend downloading a save file. Unfortunately, I'm a little bit unhinged and I love the process of setting up a world. And I really am particular about how I want my Sims and how I want their stories to go. And that's how we've ended up here creating our rotational save file together. So, before we ever even open up the game, there are a few things that I kind of like to do to prep myself for a new rotational save file. And so, that's what I really want to focus on with you guys today are the three things that I really do to set myself up for success. And I feel like even though these things might seem tedious, I feel like it really helps me to build these deep worlds that I enjoy playing in. All right, so when I'm getting ready to start a new save file, the first thing that I do is I come over to my Notion and I go ahead and I duplicate this new save Sims 4 rotation files. And so now what I'm going to go ahead and do is I'm going to go ahead and tap into my brainstorming tab. And when I first open it up, it's actually going to be a completely blank slate. I have went ahead and I've added in some bits and pieces of what I do when I start to brainstorm for my save files. So, the very first thing that I'm doing is I'm trying to figure out what is tying all of my Sims together. So, for example, in my Sims in the City save file, the thing that tied everybody together was that they were all friends and they were all young adults trying to navigate life in the city. And so that was their tying theme. I had another save file before that one where all of my Sims were doing rags to riches in tents in Henford on Bagley, and their tying thread was obviously those pieces, but also they would come together every week for a bonfire night. And so it's just kind of trying to think of ways that your Sims are going to be connecting with each other so they're not all islands in and of themselves. And I definitely think having an event, having a club, having something that ties all of your Sims together is so helpful with this. And the other thing you'll start to notice too is that if you're having them in a club or if you're having them intermingle, the drama's going to kind of write itself because you might notice that a sim you played a rotation or two ago was flirting with somebody different, or they might be angry, or they might be getting into an argument, or it kind of helps with the storytelling and the drama and just the world building in general. So for this current save file, you can kind of see I'm thinking Windenburg as our setting, and I'm really feeling Windenburg because I think it's so like cold and dreary outside. I don't know. I don't know why I associate Windenburg with this like kind of weird, cool winter to spring weather, but I just do. And I'm really thinking old money versus new money, country club vibes. And so I actually literally just bullet pointed out country club, equestrian club, and social club or social house because I really think that I want these three things to kind of find their way into our save file. And then what I do from there, once I have that core thing that kind of ties everybody together, I start making them all different because I want each sim to feel different when I play them. So, for example, the first thing that I did was I went kind of across here. And so I was really thinking if I'm wanting old money versus new money, I need an old money family and I need a new money family. And then I was thinking about how I really want Windenburg to feel rich and deep. And because of that, I really wanted to have a couple households of lifelong locals. That's why I have two pieces here of that. And then our fifth household is an outsider coming in, and I really thought the outsider coming in would be helpful with trying to kind of disrupt some of those traditional new money. We've got lifelong locals. I just thought that would be kind of an interesting poll. And then also um, some people trying to climb the social ladder, because if we're talking old money versus new money, these ones are striving to get in. And so that's kind of what I was thinking with that. And so this is very loose. I don't plan anything super strict yet because that actually happens once I start getting into cast and I start feeling like I get to know my characters. But I do try to have a good idea of certain things. So my example would be with the Brant Wagner family. And sometimes I kind of know the names of the Sims I'm wanting to create, and sometimes they just come to me. Brant Wagner just felt so Windenburg to me. I don't really know. But I will end up probably putting the amount of simoleons I am giving each family here, and I just do that to try to keep it consistent because I definitely want like our old money family to have more money than our new money family. And so sometimes it's things like that that I just need like a visual reminder of, and that's why I'm doing that. And then my next thing is kind of their connection to our main piece. So they are actually the founding family of the country club, and they really value that tradition. And I think that's kind of their main piece. And then that's how that family is going to break off from that. That's their core value is their family. And then the expansion hooks are really additional details that I think are going to help bring the world to life. It doesn't mean I'm going to do it, but it's just ideas that I'm having. So, like, some expansion hooks for them might be having some wealthy grandparents. It'd be helpful if I could spell that right. But they might have wealthy grandparents. There might be another Windenburg family that's like a political rival. They might be friends with the owners of the equestrian club. And so those were just some kind of ideas I was having as I was thinking about and brainstorming that family. And then the last thing I do is I will add in like a mom, dad, young adult, daughter, and son. And this might end up having their names. It might not, but it might end up having their names. But it's just to kind of also track because I don't want to have a ton of young adult females. I want it to be intermingled. So this is how I kind of help make sure that I have a full area of the age groups I'm wanting to play. And so I'll end up filling all of these out as I go. Um, Obviously, this family is going to be rich, but not as rich as the Brant Wagners. So these are really my personal notes that kind of they're flexible. We can work with them. And then after I will fill all of this section out, my next step is to I'll come back here and actually I forgot to name this. What was I thinking? So I'm gonna go ahead and let y'all know that we are working on the Windenburg Social Club. Is gonna be the name of our Let's Play series. It's gonna be the name of our save file. Oh, I forgot to mention. Let me go back. Let me go back. So I'm in this brainstorming phase, but I will end up having all of my Sims in this database. And this is where I get way, way, way more specific. And I include the names, I include the generation we're on, I include what family they're in. And I get way, way more detailed in the database, and I have a reason for that. But we'll save that for later. The other thing that I try to do when I'm working in this save area too, and it's going to happen as I create these sims and work through them, but I assign them a role of either a primary sim, which we're going to play with for about a week at a time, um, a secondary family, which we might play for 1 or 2 sim days a season, or an NPC. And the biggest thing I want you to know about this is it's very fluid for me because I really want to be able to play with the Sims that I want to play with right now. Um, I feel like it can be a very fluid thing, but I do try to tier my Sims like that. And I forgot to mention that, so I did want to let you know. So then the third thing that I do before ever opening up my game is I start adjusting my lots. And how I do this is well, first of all, go ahead and add in all the areas of the world that we're building in, which is obviously Windenburg. And then I will assign it kind of a role, like assign each area a role. So for Windenburg, since I'm going to be filling it up, I really want Winslar to be kind of our countryside middle class area. I want Crumbling Isle to be our country club. And then I'm going to have the Old Platts area of the city be more of the historic side, and then the Likey Center be the more up and coming area, which I mean, I don't think is that crazy or groundbreaking. And then just to kind of show you, I'm going to pop into Winslar um, because I've already started editing and kind of making my own notes. So this first column here is just literally the dimensions of the lots that I have available left. And then I have a lot name and creator section for once I decide where each building is going to go. And then I have the OG lot purpose, which is what the Sims team decided that lot should be like when you open up the game. And then I have a to do section. And how I use this is like a perfect example. So I have this 30 by 20 lot, and it is going to end up being the Churchill Stables by this creator. And then I am needing to, I have this in red because I need to place this lot. And then I have this in red because I want to create a small business owner for that lot. And so this just kind of helps keep me organized in that way. Once I have this framework created, it's time to hop into The Sims and actually play, which is so exciting. All right, y'all, that's it for today's video. Please go ahead and hit follow if you want to keep hanging out with me as I build this world and start a new Let's Play series. Bye bye.